Some of you have been asking me to come back and make Starfield content. I've made quite a lot. I played Starfield extensively and I enjoyed it while I played it. And in anticipation of it releasing, I had all of these expectations and adventurous ideas of what exploring the galaxy would be about. They did, however, say there were over 1,000 planets that you can explore, but as time came closer and closer to the release date, more information was exposed about the exploration and just in general about Starfield. There were a few leaks and there were some people that I knew as content creators who had early review copies. More information was exposed about the exploration and just in general about Starfield. There were a few leaks and there were some people that I knew as content creators who had early review copies. But the reason I'm talking about this is because I believe that Starfield has wasted a lot of potential, given that the history of Bethesda was so rich and they created such good games, such great games rather. I really enjoyed Fallout 3, I really enjoyed Fallout 4, Oblivion, Skyrim. I mean, all of those were masterpieces. Personally, that's what I think. And for gaming in general, not just Starfield, to be the way it is kind of a shame. Nowadays, gaming is only about how much that company sells at the onset or at the beginning when the game releases. So they have to generate as much hype as possible, which then by default lowers the quality of the game when it comes out. You can make something look good easily, especially with the team that they have. You can make something look great. You could sell the exploration and make people think that they're gonna literally be in another world. Well, I just want to point out a few things, and one of the things that made me really stop being interested in the game as much as I used to be, just in general, the fact that YouTubers and other individuals get early review copies of the game, they're able to play it in its entirety. So a lot of things are discovered, then later on revealed immediately online on YouTube, like secrets, tips, tricks. Back in the day, it used to be so fun to discover secrets that we never knew existed before. As soon as I played the game on day one, I seen all of these tutorials. Get this secret armor, get this secret this, get that, all at once. Not to mention the spoilers and the thumbnails. There's just so many things that are revealed and so many things that aren't as they were before in terms of quality of game development. The only way to really explain this to you so that you see what I'm talking about is to give you an example in retrospect. An example from Oblivion, a game that Bethesda made a long time ago. It's the first game that actually got me hooked on to Bethesda and really allowed me to see what open world games potential was. And some of you may remember this, but I remember it vividly. It was when there was a side quest where you can basically go to an arena and rise in the ranks while fighting different gladiators and opponents. And in the midst of it all, you would have different encounters. That's actually where we first encountered the Adoring Fan. That's where it originated from. So it was really cool that you can upgrade your abilities and skills so that you can excel in this arena and get ultimately to the top. The boss or the final champion that you would fight was this orc warrior who eventually got depressed based on something that happened in his life, but it was just a cool storyline. But in the midst of that, I went to sleep, and when I woke up, I got a message on my screen saying that you feel weary or you feel weird, your body's changing, something of that effect. In the morning time, when I went out into the sunlight, I started burning and I started, having all of these different feelings. My character just felt different. And then when nightfall came, I had all of these different buffs and changes to my physical abilities and things that I could do at night. It turns out that I was bitten by a vampire while I was sleeping and got changed into a vampire. Now, the plot twist for something like that just to happen without it even being part of the story, just something that happens in the natural world, the fact that there were vampires and other different types of enemies, and this can happen to you, was amazing to me. But that's not it. If I didn't want to be a vampire, because it got annoying getting burnt in the sun all the time, and I just didn't want to be a vampire, I wanted to be human, even though I had all these powers at night. It turns out that I found out that there's a cure for vampirism. You had to go to some lady's hut in the woods and find the ingredients and talk to her. It was just crazy. So I was able to find a cure for vampirism and cure my ailment, amongst other ailments that you would get. But the point is that the creativity and the thought that the developers put into just that aspect alone is astonishing to me in relation to how gaming is now. Just that alone is astonishing. So let's think about Starfield, for example. One of the main aspects that threw me off was when these guides would come out on how to glitch your levels so fast. I'm talking about 20,000 XP per minute. You would have to make these animal husbandry buildings so that you can domesticate these aliens and kill them ad infinitum. This made it so that you can essentially get unlimited levels. And in a game like Starfield and games like Fallout, they tend to get boring when you can just become all powerful automatically, just destroy everything. There's no challenge anymore. And I'm going to get into the alien species in a second, but in Fallout, they had something called VATS, where you can slow down time, target a specific area on the body, and dismember that body part, or severely injure that body part, depending on the accuracy percentage. That was based on your combat abilities like dexterity, accuracy. So you had to upgrade multiple separate attributes in order to become effective in combat. That's not the case with Starfield. You don't even have to have anything upgraded in the combat section. In fact, when I first started out, I spec'd into stealth and concealment a lot. That I think is overkill, because if you get your stealth and concealment up really high early, you can use a rare pistol and take out high level enemies with 2 shots on very hard. And that's the thing, very hard isn't even a thing at all. It doesn't matter. The challenge has been completely taken away from the game. When you play Fallout 4, it just felt difficult. It felt hard because there's a save and load mechanic. You can, before fighting a dangerous enemy, if you didn't want to start over, you would save the game before that fight and load it if you died. You could just reload and play that one part again until you get your desired outcome. That's fine. And in Fallout 4 and 3, I would save before encounters, but I still felt like it was a challenge. There's just something about Starfield that doesn't offer a challenge at all. Even if you don't save. I don't know. I just think it's very easy to kill enemies and excel in the combat area without even needing to upgrade anything significant. But that's just the combat aspect, okay? Because people are telling me that Cyberpunk right now is a really great game to get into. It's actually better than Starfield in many ways. I only played Cyberpunk once for a couple of hours, but since I've heard that it's gotten a lot better, so I'm gonna go revisit it to see what it's about. Let me know down in the comments if you want me to play that and make some content on that, especially since there's been an expansion lately. But let me talk a little bit about the alien species and how that also added a layer of mediocrity to the game for me. Okay, it doesn't matter what planet you go to, it doesn't matter what alien species you encounter, they're essentially all the same. Yes, they may be different looking, but their behaviors are exactly the same. You shoot at them and they move left or right, which creates the illusion that they're dodging you, which is fine, but that's the extent of the difficulty that they offer. Some enemies or some aliens would hit you from a distance. If you're like on top of a building shooting them and they can't get to you, they'll spit something out at you or throw something at you, which is another layer, but not really enough. The only aliens that offer a challenge per se are the terramorphs. And that's it. They have some psychological attack that they hit you with that's very cool. The first time I encountered them, it was very exciting. But again, that's the extent of it. What I'm trying to say is that there's no intelligent species. There's no alien that actually is intelligent. You have the Starborn, which are mysterious, but I don't know. I'm not really interested in them. They're part of the main campaign. I'm talking about some thinking aliens that can actually do stuff to you to affect the open world aspect of the game. Remember when I told you about when I became a vampire on Oblivion? Let's take that scenario and put it in a Starfield scenario and just think about it based on what it could be, right? Let's use our imagination. Picture this in your mind. One day, you're exploring planetside, the beaten paths, open areas, minding your own business. And out of nowhere, an alien ship hovers above, then suddenly abducts you. You get sedated only to be awoken, confused, disoriented, and terrified in the midst of being violently experimented on by a group of ominously intentioned aliens. Now that would be something to remember. But that's not all. This ship can be small, it can be large, it can have several corridors, because they do have legendary ships in Starfield. This could be one of them, but from an intelligent alien species. Now let's take it a step further. And back in room as you wake up, begin to think what in-game skills you've unlocked. Take for example, intelligence, lockpicking. Whatever skill is at your disposal, use that to free yourself from the shackles. Or your high level of intelligence is used to convince the aliens to set you free through dialogue. I don't know if you remember, but in Fallout New Vegas, you were able to speak the language of the Legion faction, an option appearing only in the dialogue if your intelligence skill was high enough. What if you could do that with the aliens? Just something to ponder over. But let's rewind, okay? And back in the room as you wake up, then free yourself from the shackles, then attempt to escape from this horrifying ship, or try and fight your way through to ultimately commandeer the ship for yourself, which would be very difficult but exciting at the same time. Overall, these experiences wherein will undoubtedly archive in your mind memories of satisfying nostalgia felt only when looking back upon it years later. And this makes me think of Mass Effect. You remember Mass Effect? I forgot which one it was actually. It was before Andromeda. It was before, I think it might have been 3 or before 3, but there was a prison ship that I got on, and the people, the warden of that ship, they were trying to make it seem like I was a guest there and that they wanted to do business with my character. But once I got to a certain area, there was a message on the intercom saying that this was a ploy to actually use me as a prisoner and that they were going to collect my bounty or kill me or whatever. So Shepard, I had to then escape that prison ship with whatever I had on me at that moment. So stuff like that is what I'm talking about. That's just one aspect of creativity in a game that a company could bring. Is definitely possible, but unfortunately I just think that nowadays with how gaming is, it's been a shift towards profit over quality. And that's just the way the game industry is moving, and that's the way it has been moving. You have microtransactions, you have pre-order culture, day one DLCs, all of this stuff that only benefit the profits of the game. Now I understand that they have to make a profit, but don't make it so outlandish to the point where you forget about what your company is about. One thing I know that really helps replayability in games is PvP, multiplayer, crossplay, stuff like that. I mean, Bethesda games are what they are, okay? There was never a game that Bethesda made that was multiplayer or PvP. The only game they made, which wasn't really made by their studio per se, was Fallout 76. It was PvP disaster. And they got a lot of backlash based on guilt by association. But the point I'm trying to make is that that is multiplayer, that is PvP, but has great quality as well. Where have we gone with that? I know that this may fall on a lot of deaf ears in the industry and just in general. People making all this money see no reason to go back to more quality than profits. I get it, but I just wanted to share my points and let people know my viewpoint and how, as a gamer, I always want more. A game is always gonna get boring, okay? But at least you can provide certain things that will keep us longer or keep us engaged for more of a period of time. So this isn't really the sad reality of only Starfield. It's the sad reality of gaming in general. I don't know, maybe I'm the last of the dying breed of gamers who actually want more of a fulfillment out of gaming. Either way, I just wanted to share my viewpoints, and I want you to share yours. Let me know if you agree with me or not down below in the comments. And what would you have added to Starfield, or what would you add to Starfield, or any game that will increase the playability and the interest factor of the game? Would you add PvP? Would you add multiplayer? Because I think it's definitely possible to do stuff like that in order to have a way more enjoyable experience. On the other hand, I think that maybe I should just accept the way gaming is now and go from there. But I didn't want to do that. I believe that I'm such a gamer. It's in my blood so much that it compelled me to actually become a game developer myself. I've been game developing for a little over 2 years, or almost 2 years, I think. And I started with just drawing. From there, I started to learn Blender, 3D modeling, and then I went into the Unreal Engine. And it is really, really fun. The fact that you can create your own worlds, create systems that only are in your head, or ideas that you only have. The only thing is that you have to figure out how to do it, because becoming a game developer from a beginner is very difficult, and learning all of the coding and the blueprinting and all that is not easy. But once you get it down to a place where you're comfortable with it, then you can make some really crazy stuff happen. The game I'm developing is called Identity Rebels, and it has been gradually and consistently getting better, and I'm really proud of it. So hopefully I can implement some of those experiences and things that I was talking about I feel like games nowadays should have into my project. And if you're interested in stuff like that, if you're interested in my story and other stuff that I'm doing, then you can check out my other channel at Identity Gaming. The link will be in the description. And it has a whole different adventure over there about game development and what I'm going through. As far as this channel, I'm still going to be covering games. I might actually drop another Starfield video or a Cyberpunk video, whatever I feel like doing, whatever I'm interested in. But like I said, let me know what you think of this down below. I just wanted to share my thoughts and just pretty much talk about how I was feeling about gaming in general and how it is today. That'll do it for this one, fam. I'll catch you in the next one. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe to my channel if you're new. Be right out.